The PlayStation 3 has been online for over 16 years now. Despite being 2 generations ago, gamers still play this console daily, keeping the spirit of the PlayStation 3 alive even in 2023. Although the online service was not as in-depth or as fleshed out like Xbox Live was, it still made up for it in its diverse library of games. You might ask yourself, why do people in 2023 even play the PlayStation 3 online? Well, one of the main reasons is that the online service is free. Unlike the Xbox 360, Sony never charged for online play on the PlayStation 3. All you needed was a console, an internet connection, and a game. In today's video, we'll be going over the most active PlayStation 3 games in 2023. This list is to help anyone starting out or wanting to revisit the PlayStation 3's online multiplayer. Without further ado, let's start with first-person shooters. Now, off the top, the most popular first-person shooter of pretty much this generation was Call of Duty. Popular in its heyday, Call of Duty is still regularly played on the PlayStation 3. In my experience, the most popular Call of Duty titles start from the following: Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 1, 2, 3, Advanced Warfare, and World at War. You're almost always going to find a lobby in one of these games on weekends and throughout the week as well. MW2, Ghosts, COD 4 do have communities, but I find they're more popular during the weekend. Throughout the week, however, it's much harder to find a lobby in these games. Call of Duty 3 and Call of Duty Classic still have people playing them, but they're significantly smaller compared to the other titles. Most of the times you'll find 2 or 3 people playing these games, and a lot of the times there won't be a lobby at all. So your mileage will vary with these games in particular. If I had to choose my favorite, I would say Modern Warfare 2 and even Call of Duty 3. It's underrated and maybe not be the most special Call of Duty game, but I think Treyarch was onto something with that one. It was significantly underappreciated. The Battlefield franchise, on the other hand, is still very popular on the PlayStation 3. Both Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, 1943, and even Hardline are still played daily. Bad Company 1 is still active, but mostly on weekends. It's worth mentioning that Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, and 1943 will be shutting down by the end of December of 2023, so if you haven't played these games already or want to replay them, now is the time to do it. Now, if Call of Duty or Battlefield isn't your cup of tea, why not give these games a try? BioShock 2. It has an underrated multiplayer mode that takes a lot of the abilities you come to expect in a BioShock game in a PvP type of arena. This game has a small but dedicated player base. Best to play this game on a weekend for best results. I can't believe I'm mentioning this one, but Duke Nukem Forever. Now, if you played this game, you know it's not the best game in the world, but its multiplayer is actually kind of fun. It plays like an old school arena shooter, no loadouts, just skill and map recognition in order to succeed. You're probably not going to find a full lobby in this game. That's worth mentioning in this video. Crysis 3 on the other hand is still alive and kicking. Like BioShock's multiplayer, Crysis 3 lets you use a nanosuit from the single-player campaign. This game relies a lot more on reaction time. Knowing when to use each ability is crucial to get a leg up on the other player. It's not unheard of to see full lobbies in Crysis 3, and you can pick it up for relatively cheap today, so I highly recommend giving it a try. If none of those suit your fancy, Killzone 2 might just do it. Revived back in 2021 thanks to the PS1 team, Killzone 2 offers a different take on the FPS shooters that modern games lack. The game has a really unique feel to it, a lower TTK, and relies a lot more on teamwork than the other games mentioned. This game has aged like fine wine. Both visually and gameplay wise, it still holds up to this day. The game is supported by a small but growing community. I will mention that this game does require you to connect to servers outside PSN in order to play. I will leave a link down in the description on how to do so. It's actually pretty easy to do. What about third-person shooters? Well, the PlayStation 3 has a few that are still alive and kicking. Let's start with the most popular one out of all of them, Plant vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. This is a third-person shooter based on the Plant vs. Zombies franchise that has an interesting take on the genre. It takes on a shooter that is refreshing and actually works quite well. Honestly, when you told me that Plant vs. Zombies was any multiplayer game, I would have passed on it. But playing this game, it's actually a lot of damn fun. I'm confident when I say this, but I think this has the largest player base out of all the PlayStation 3 games. You can find lobbies throughout the week and on weekends with no issues. I highly recommend giving this one a try, and it's pretty cheap too. Okay, but if shooting the shit out of plants isn't your thing, why not Space Marines instead? Warhammer 40k Space Marine is an underrated third-person shooter set in the 40k universe. Its multiplayer is a good mixture of melee combat and shooting, which gives it a different feeling than other games on this list. This game has a small following, so it's best to play this game on a weekend for best results. When I say Tomb Raider, your first thought probably isn't multiplayer. However, Tomb Raider 2013 had a multiplayer mode that's still played to this day. It was the style at the time to have a tacked-on multiplayer mode, and this definitely feels like it. It doesn't feel nearly as polished as the other games on this list, and its frame rate is really all over the place. That being said, there's really no other alternative to this style of game on the PlayStation 3 anymore. Uncharted's multiplayer service has been shut down for quite a long time now, so Tomb Raider is probably the closest thing you'll get to that type of experience. This game has a small following, so best to play it on a weekend for best results. Sniper Elite 3 is exactly what the name entails, a sniper game. This multiplayer is much slower paced than the other ones on this list and actually requires more memorization of the map than I think most games generally require. If you enjoy a slower paced, more tactical third-person shooter, this just might be for you. It has a medium-sized following, so you have chances of finding a server throughout the week, but best results are usually on the weekends as well too. Although this isn't a shooter per se, it is third person. Skate 3 is a game that does not require any sort of introduction. One of the best skateboarding games of all time is still played online to this day. Unlike the Xbox version though, which is backwards compatible and has a larger following, the PlayStation 3 community here is a lot smaller. I recommend playing this game on a weekend if you want a decent sized lobby. That being said, this type of game functions perfectly even solo. Grand Theft Auto 4 is an underrated GTA game as well as having an underrated multiplayer mode. Its variety of options and modes is sure to suit anyone's fancy, meaning that you can tailor your experience at how you would like it. You want to turn off cops? No problem. You want to increase the population of density of pedestrians in the game? No problem. You want everyone to spawn with just RPGs or just assault rifles? You can do that too. This game has a medium-sized community, mostly in the free roam mode, but sometimes you can find people playing the deathmatch and cops and crooks mode. I personally found lobbies throughout the week and weekends when playing this game. Speaking of Rockstar games, Red Dead Redemption is another excellent multiplayer game to play on the PlayStation 3. Both GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption share similar modes, with free roam on Red Dead Redemption being the most popular. Like Grand Theft Auto 4, it shares a medium-sized community that still plays this game throughout the week and on weekends. What if you want to play with others, not against them? Well, here are a few games that do that well and are still somewhat active. Rainbow Six Vegas 2. It is a tactical game that relies on patience and playing it smart. It offers a cooperative mode called Terrorist Hunt. Terrorist Hunt pits you and 3 other players on a map to hunt down terrorists controlled by AI. The AI is actually pretty decent and will flank you in various ways, giving the mode a good challenge to it. I would say this is more of a small community, playing mostly active on weekends, but your mileage may vary throughout the week as well too. Borderlands 2 is a game that truly benefits from playing it cooperatively. If you've not already played this game, it pushed the looter shooter genre into the direction that it is today. Offering a massive amount of weapons to choose from in an RPG progression system, it is a type of game where you can easily sink hours into it without noticing. Now, I will say that finding lobbies in this game is becoming more and more difficult. If you go on like the PS3 subreddit, when you ask people what the most commonly played PlayStation 3 game, they say Borderlands 2 is, but from my experience in testing, I wasn't able to find any lobbies. That's not to say there isn't any lobbies today. Other PlayStation 3 content creators such as Lag HD was able to find lobbies in Borderlands 2, so it's fair to say this game is still active, but your mileage may vary. You'll probably have better luck than I did though, however. Now, what about MMOs on the PlayStation 3? Well, one of the most popular ones nowadays is Destiny. It was originally released on the PlayStation 3 at launch, with one expansion, The Taken King, being released a year afterwards. In my experience, it's still popular on the PlayStation 3, both in PvE and PvP. Probably the most modern game on this list. I would say your chance of finding others in this game is quite high. It still holds up pretty well to this day as well too. Now, from here I'm going to list a bunch of PS3 games I was unable to confirm myself or unable to find lobbies in that are still somewhat active to this day. Your luck will vary, but others have had success in finding these lobbies. The following games are Modern Combat Domination, Operation Flashpoint Red River, Call Juarez Bound in Blood, Need for Speed Rivals, Blur, Resident Evil Revelations 2, Sniper Ghost Warrior 2, Lost Planet Extreme Condition, Dead Space 3, Dead Island, and SOCOM Confrontation. Earlier in this video, I talked about Killzone 2 and its revival thanks to the PS1 online servers. I thought it would be worth mentioning other titles they brought back as well. Currently, the following titles that PS1 Online has revived include Warhawk, Resistance Fall of Man, PlayStation Home, Wipeout. Now, there is talk about MAG being revived, however that's not completed just yet. There's also another server revival team that goes by the name of PSOrg. PSOrg has brought back a lot of PlayStation 3 titles as well as PlayStation 2 and PSP games. The following titles you can play today include Resistance 2, MotorStorm, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. Starhawk is also in development, but it's not released just yet, but however, it'll be released very soon. Well, that pretty much sums it all up. As you can see, the PlayStation 3 still has a lot of life left into it. The community surrounding this console is awesome for supporting up to 2023 and also very welcoming as well too. This is why I always go back to the PlayStation 3. The nostalgic aspect always brought me back to the PlayStation 3, but seeing the fact that others feel the same way and still continue to support it and play a lot of these games online is awesome. Now, I will say that some of these communities, you have people who've been playing these games for over a decade now, so you probably will get swarmed if it's your first time playing. However, they're more than welcome to teach you the ropes and even go easy on you. I'm someone who's not the best at video games, so I had this issue quite a bit. Now guys, there is a good chance I missed some games on this list, so please let me know in the comments down below if there's any other games I might have listed that are still active today. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider clicking the like button and a subscription. It helps me grow this channel and spread awareness towards this wonderful console. Thank you guys again for watching my video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Peace.